Burnout. I don't think there's anyone on the face of this planet that has not experienced burnout at some point. So why do I always feel so ungrateful talking about it? I'm 30 years old, working in technology audit consulting in New York City. I'm juggling 6 clients, wedding planning, this YouTube, dog momming, maintaining friendships, maintaining my relationship, into book clubs, all while trying to stay up to date on my Bravo shows, which is arguably most important here. I love all of these aspects of my life, but recently I've just hit a wall. According to Cleveland Clinic, burnout is defined as physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion accompanied by decreased motivation, lowered performance, and negative attitudes towards oneself and others. Today, I'm sharing my experience with burnout and the stigma that I've felt around being burnt out on the things that I love. Whenever I tell family or friends about how burnt out I've gotten, I feel like I'm complaining about my life, like complaining about the wedding that I wanted, or complaining about taking care of and walking the dog that I love. You get the gist. I feel like I'm not allowed to be burnt out on those positive things in my life. I'm trying to change that mindset though. You can be burnt out on something you love. It doesn't make you ungrateful to acknowledge that feeling. I don't believe I've fully cured my burnout, so if you're watching this for 3 simple steps to get over burnout, it's not the video. Instead, I'm dissecting what has started to help me and hopefully in the process allowing you and myself to acknowledge the feelings and remind us that there's no shame. With most of this channel, I'm talking to myself in a sense. In my personal finance videos for non-finance girls, for instance, I'm talking to that 24-year-old version of me that didn't know that you had to invest your Roth IRA. In my 30th birthday video, 20 life lessons that I learned in my 20s, I'm forcing my 30-year-old self to articulate lessons and mantras that I picked up over the last decade and want to take with me into this next chapter of my life. All that to say, I hope by sharing this that you feel validated in whatever it is that you're feeling burnt out on. And selfishly, I hope I get a little bit more comfortable admitting it to myself. Oh, and by the way, welcome to On Our Way, a channel about navigating careers and life through the lens of being women. Without further ado, let's get on our way to acknowledging the burnout and start enjoying the life that we worked so hard for. Within the past year or so April of 2024 till about May of 2025, I've really found my groove, and a lot of amazing things that I've manifested have happened, but it's also the most burnt out that I've felt in a really long time. I started this channel in April of 2024 as a way to unpack the human experience through the lens of being women. I went to an all-girls high school and am very passionate and curious about women's stories and how we uniquely interact with the world. With this structured outlet, I was able to write essays essentially on topics that I'm curious about, everything from finances in relationships to imposter syndrome. Both videos of which you should check out if you haven't already. Anyone who enjoys writing that has a busy brain understands how cathartic it is to get those thoughts, kind of put them together and get them onto paper. It's truly a form of therapy and a journey of self-discovery. I've also had a couple interview guests, which today have just been my friends talking about their paths and things that they've been dealing with as well. It's been an excuse to have some amazing conversations and learn even more about the people that I care about. Before starting this channel, I was feeling a bit lost, like I needed a fulfilling, structured outlet outside of my corporate job, and this has been just that. Fast forward a couple months till July of 2024 when I got engaged to my partner of 5.5 years in the frickin' Dolomites, which is the Italian side of the Alps. I wanted to be totally surprised, and I was flabbergasted. He pretended that the photographer was our tour guide, had a private lunch set up afterwards, the whole 9 yards. Pretty soon after that, we started wedding planning and settled on getting married in June of 2026. Also in Italy. Not in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that I'm marrying the kindest, funniest, hardest working, and most supportive guy, but also getting to do it in Italy over the course of a whole weekend with all of our family and friends. To round this out, the end of 2024, effective 2025, I got promoted to associate director in my group at work, which is only 2 below managing director. I really love my job, and I was definitely pushing myself to get that associate director title and pay that I felt I deserved. After hearing all that, are you thinking, this girl better not now go into how hard life is? Because I am, and I'm this girl. Within the past year or so, so much of what I've wanted has finally come to fruition. So that means I'm not allowed to feel tired or burnt out, right? That's exactly how I felt when my family or friends would ask me how I was doing, how was wedding planning or work or the YouTube channel. And I felt bad saying I'm pretty maxed at the moment because everything is all things that I've manifested and have expressed that I want. I also felt like if I admitted to people, or more importantly, probably myself, that I was burnt out, that I was ungrateful for the things that I've worked, really hard for. I also told myself that so many people have it so much worse. I'm not allowed to feel tired because there are people that would kill for some of the things that I have, including my younger self. One of my best friends from college, Katie, used to say, just because someone is struggling doesn't mean that you're not also struggling. Katie, I hope I didn't butcher that. But essentially, you can always play the other people have it worse card. You're allowed to feel a certain way, even if other people are struggling as well. There's a trend going around right now. It's called do it tired, which basically means don't let being tired be an excuse. And I agree, but not to the point of burnout, because at that point, you can't enjoy whatever it is that you're working towards. For me, burnout is feeling extremely tired and detached. I love my job, YouTube, and everything, but I don't always have my normal motivation. I was procrastinating, not because I didn't want to do it, but because I was detaching. Bottom line, this is no way to enjoy the things that I've worked so hard for. For a couple months, I thought the solution was to just do it tired and, push through. But recently I've decided to take matters into my own hands and try to start changing my mindset and routine so I can actually enjoy the life that I worked so hard to build. The first step has been acknowledging the burnout. And that sounds so easy, right? Just be honest with yourself about your feelings. Hilarious. As I mentioned, this took me a good couple months because I didn't feel like I was entitled to feeling that burnout on things that I loved. It wasn't until I had the idea for this episode that I was like, why is burnout what I'm wanting to unpack? Whatevs. Let's bury those feelings even longer. Why don't we? What could go wrong? I went in thinking I am not burnt out, and this is going to be more of a how-to video, like how to get over burnout. But I realized I couldn't write a how-to video if I don't know myself how to. That's when I decided I should probably pivot the thesis here and unpack how I'm really feeling and take action. Once I got over that shame of feeling burnt out, I was able to start working through how to fix it. Like anything, if you can't be honest with yourself about the actual problem, you won't effectively be able to tackle it. Oh, I know, no fun. You'll be band-aiding it until the end of time if you don't actually get to the root cause. Easier said than done, but for me, the best way to do this is to work backwards. Like if I'm feeling exhausted, okay, why? Because I only got 6 hours of sleep last night. Okay, don't stop there and just say, I should buy melatonin, but why was I unable to get to sleep? Was it because my brain was so preoccupied, or was I working too late? Whatever it may be. I'm also a huge podcast and YouTube fan, clearly. I went down a rabbit hole of listening to other people talk about their feelings and experience with burnout. One of my favorite podcasters, Emma Chamberlain, put out 2 episodes about her experience with feeling burnt out. Listening to those along with others helped me realize okay, it's normal. These people have seemingly amazing lives and they're allowing themselves to acknowledge that burnout. Why can't I? Once I got over the shame I had attached with feeling burnt out on things I love, I realized I needed to change my relationship with the things I was burnt out on and get back to the why I chose those things in the first place. Again, I love all of those things. So it's not necessarily about stopping or starting something. For me, it was just changing the narrative in my head. Getting back to my original why, in turn, changed what success looks like to me. It also, in the most literal sense, reminds me, why am I even doing something? When I started this channel a year ago, I was doing it strictly as a structured outlet to gather my thoughts on things that I was dealing with. Once I started getting some traction, which for me was getting over 500 views on a video and having non-family and friends following me, I was like, hold up, this is validating. This is what I'm striving for. The views, followers, recognition that what I'm doing is purposeful from outsiders. Looking back, this shift is when I started to feel burnt out. My relationship with something I loved now depended on actions from others, which is not the why that I had when I started. I can't control wholly what people like or don't like, what they click on, or how long they watch. Sure, I can try to make more engaging videos, but you get the gist. Some things blow up unexpectedly while others flop. The target also moves. I used to think 100 views on a video was a lot, and then I got a couple hundred. So I was like, wait, that's a lot. So it's hard to be satisfied when the target can change at the drop of a hat. I can work endlessly and may never feel satisfied with the goal being out of my control and being a moving target. Today, I've been most proud of 2 videos. One has gotten the most views on my channel, while the other has gotten one of the least. Back in the fall, I interviewed my coworker at NJIT, the university she's an adjunct professor at. Mind you, she's 23 years old. We had a great discussion about her navigating 2 careers essentially, technology audit, as well as being a professor, having immigrant parents, and dealing with people's inherent biases. It was my first video and interview in a more professional environment and outside of my apartment, speaking on some serious topics. To date, it has 516 views. I've been validated about the work that I put into that video. I also poured myself into my imposter syndrome video. I spent weeks writing it, researching imposter syndrome, and researching other people's experiences. Imposter syndrome is something I've struggled with for a good decade and had to dig really deep to unpack what my experience even was and how I started quieting that voice when I was writing that episode. To date, that has a whopping 65 views. Yep. Reframing what success is with this channel has helped lessen the blow when videos don't pop off the way I would have hoped. Now I view an episode as successful if I enjoy writing it and if I learn something in the process, either about myself or about other people. Through writing the imposter syndrome episode, I learned my personal warning signs that I'm experiencing imposter syndrome and that I need to check myself. I was forced to articulate what has started helping me tackle it, so now I can leverage that awareness next time that feeling rears its ugly head. I learned so much about myself, which is the whole reason for me starting this YouTube channel. If success is me learning, then that video was a massive success despite it not having a lot of views. Take this video, for instance. At this time, the time of filming, it has gotten 0 views because it hasn't been edited or published, and it's already successful because of all the self-dissection I had to do in writing it. The only true failure would be if I stopped doing what I love. The views are just an extra cherry on top. Another area I've been feeling burnt out on and needing to get back to my why is work. For those of you who are new here, I work at a consulting firm and my focus is technology audit. This involves helping clients build out their internal IT controls to ensure their financial data is complete and accurate that they're using to report to their investors. These controls can be as simple as ensuring strong passwords are enforced to more complicated, like ensuring financial data transferred between systems is monitored and interfaced completely and accurately. For those corporate girlies out there, I'm referring to Sarbanes-Oxley or SOX. Being in consulting, I'm on 6+ clients at a time in industries everywhere from biotech to consumer products and retail. I'm an associate director, so for the most part, I do have teams under me on those projects. It's my responsibility to be the day-to-day client contact, review work, relay status, keep the project on budget, manage people's workloads, train them, delegate, the list goes on. My why for consulting was to be in an ever-changing environment where I'm having to constantly learn, be on different clients, with different teams, and continuously adapting. That's why I love the industry, but also what makes it exhausting, especially after 7 years. Over those 7 years, I started to get promoted early a couple times, and I was like, this is very validating. That started to be my why, just run up that corporate ladder as fast as I can. But like YouTube, I can control that somewhat by doing an amazing job, but it also depends on external factors that I have zero control over, like how is the firm doing, the overall market, our clients spending money on consultants, our new clients ramping up to go public, which in a market like this, probably not. Just like YouTube, it is exhausting to have your why be external validation from others. I've been trying to get back to my why for going into consulting. So learning and being on new teams, and now as a manager where I can hopefully be a leader and support other people in their career goals as well. And this is something that I can control every single day at work. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to get promoted. When I'm up for director and subsequently MD, I will most definitely make a case for why I deserve to take that step, but it's not the overall why to my day-to-day. Again, easier said than done, and something I have to keep reminding myself of to not get to the point of burnout when it comes to both YouTube and work. I could keep going, but you get the gist at this point. Getting back to my why with both YouTube and work has helped me not feel as burnt out, because success is not some abstract thing I don't have control over that involves a validation from others. I can directly control if I feel successful at the end of the day with this new approach. Outside of YouTube, wedding planning, and dog momming, all the things, I've also been trying to stay active. When I feel burnt out, cutting a workout or movement in general is tempting because it's one of the few things in my routine that no one else is holding me accountable for. I need to work because I need the paycheck. And if I don't show up, HR will find me. Kind of like wedding planning. Like if I just stop doing everything will fall onto my fiance's plate. You get where this is going. But that Saturday morning spin class, I'm the only one that really is impacted if I don't go. When I'm burnt out, a workout or a long walk is usually one of the last things I want to do, but it's one of the few things that actually helps me feel better pretty much immediately. Julianne Hough, professional dancer, actor, and Dancing with the Stars OG, says, get out of your head and into your body. Moving helps me quiet my brain. If I'm worked up about not getting enough views on a video or overwhelmed about making times to see friends, get my work done, make sure my dog is mentally stimulated, a spin class or even a 20-minute run on the treadmill really helps to quiet that down. As Elle Wood said, exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people don't just kill their husbands. They just don't. This is science here, people. If Elwood says it, it has to be true. Not only does movement in some form quiet those voices, but it also makes things clearer to me. I've had some amazing mental breakthroughs while being active. I had the idea for this channel during a ski day, literally 7 hours of movement. I decided on our wedding venue during an ab workout. I, of course, went home and asked my fiance his opinions, but out of the 25 wedding venues that we were looking at, the one that I really loved didn't become clear until mid-crunch. Exercise doesn't have to be some high-intensity HIIT class. For me, it can also totally be just taking my dog Hitch on a long walk by the water. At the end of the workday, for instance, I have to walk Hitchy. Sometimes when I'm trying to finish a video or work late, it does feel like a chore. But the minute that I start walking, the volume of my thoughts just lowers. Sometimes the channel in my head doesn't necessarily change. I may still be thinking about YouTube or work, but it comes in at a calmer volume, so the things that are more important become more apparent. Working out also proves to myself that I can do hard things in life in general. I take this spin class with Avery, the instructor at Lifetime New York. If you're in the city, I highly recommend. He has such fun music, but he still pushes you. This past weekend, he said, you chose to be on a bike going nowhere to show yourself that you can go everywhere. Now, if you're sitting there thinking like, okay, that's not that motivating, this totally hits different, like 3 miles into a really tough climb with lights strobing, but it got me noodling. I'm obsessed with listening to podcasts and reading books about founders as well as people with just crazy career paths. And most of them have an insane workout routine. And it always struck me like, why would they make time at 4 a.m. for that when their time is worth so much more? But I realized they're probably proving to themselves that they can push themselves, mind over matter, routinely. Being a founder or taking risks in general, putting yourself out there, takes proving to yourself that you can do what you think you can't time and time again. I'm no crazy hardo at the gym. I don't really think you need to be, but I think it's important to routinely prove to myself that I can push past what I think my limits are. If I can't do it in a 45-minute spin class, how do I expect to do it in my career or in life in general? It may feel like a chore, but it's been key to me to keep me as balanced as possible and combat the burnout while also propelling me forward, one pedal stroke on the spin bike at a time. I've also switched up my schedule and been trying my darndest to stick to it. Part of feeling burnt out for me is feeling exhausted and unmotivated to do anything. I recently changed my schedule to see if doing things at different times of the day helps, and drumroll, it does. Changing when I do certain things has helped me overall feel less burnt out. I don't know if I'm having an easier time sticking to it because it's new and exciting or if because I've really biohacked correctly. But hey, whatever it takes. Now, for something no one asked for, a detailed outline of how I structured my day and how I now structure it after acknowledging my burnout. Starting off with how I structured my work days Monday through Friday before. 7 a.m., I'd wake up. 7 to 7:30, I would herkle-durkle. If you don't know what this is, get ready for your whole world to be changed. Herkle-durkling is a term the Scottish use referring to lounging in bed after you wake up. This is when I stare at my dog all curled up in his bed, scroll on my phone a bit, overall just roll around. After that, I would get ready for a dog walk, and then 7:45 to about 8:25, I would walk Little Hitchy. 3 days a week, we do have a dog walker come and do the morning walk instead, and 2 of those days overlap with my in-office days. So that's just replacing this block with me commuting to the office. And that one other day when I don't usually go into the office, but our dog walker still comes, I would just herkle-durkle a little longer or start work early. After that is breakfast time for me and my furry little friend. And then a little bit before 9, I would be at my laptop and ready for the day. I'd work till about 6 p.m. and then go to the gym. Again, if I'm in the office, that would just be replaced by my commute. Then about 7:40, I would take Little Hitchy on his night walk, shower, do dinner, and then be all done with that about 9, wind down, debrief with my fiance about the day, watch TV, read, work on YouTube, and so on. Now, if you're not asleep yet, after restructuring, I made 3 key changes. 1 being working out in the morning. If you know me, this is huge. I am not a morning person, hence the required herkle-durkle time. Also funny because I'm not a night owl either. So if you get me between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., it's my peak. But I found working out in the morning minimizes the chance of me not going because I don't give myself the option to think through if I should be working more or if I'm not feeling it, whatever my 6 p.m. brain could conjure up as an excuse. With that, I have to wake up about 40 minutes earlier and shorten my herkle-durkle time, but not eliminate it because it is core to my being. Also, this is on non-in-office days. When I go into the office, my gym time is replaced by my commute again. Because I'm working out in the morning, I can also bring dinner up earlier. I've read so many studies about how walking after dinner helps get things moving. So now my pup and I do dinner before our evening walk because if it's good for me, it must be good for his little organs as well. I've also implemented, for the most part, no phone past 9 p.m. so I can get to bed a little earlier. After 9:30, I'll usually read to wind down rather than scrolling. Reading before bed allows my brain to get back to working at its own pace. With TV, TikTok, or Instagram, my brain has to keep up with the screen in front of me, which after the sun goes down is a lot faster than what my brain's willing to do. With reading, my brain can consume at its own rate. I can read as quickly or as slow as I need to. Do I follow this perfectly all the time? No. Show me someone that follows their routine to a T, and I'll show you a psychopath. But it definitely makes me skip a workout or scroll instead of reading before bed less enticing because I have intentional structure for myself. Sometimes, of course, I scroll before going to bed, but at least I'm aware this is an exception and not the rule itself. This also gives me dedicated time to tackle the things on my to-do list. Nothing stresses me out more than having a long list of to-dos and not having an actionable plan of when I'm going to get them done. Take wedding planning in another country, for instance. There is a whole host of things that we need to do, and it used to really stress me out because I had no idea when we would tackle them. My fiance works a lot. He gets back anywhere between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. And I don't know about you, but that's not usually the time of day that I want to whip out the wedding budget spreadsheet and figure out where we're over budget. We've started doing Friday night dinners where we tackle wedding planning specifically. We'll go out to eat, get some wine going, and do all things wedding, responding to the vendors, noodling over some decisions, all the things. This makes it fun and less daunting because we have time set aside for it and it's not just looming over us. Last but not least, during times of burnout, I've been making an effort to stay connected with friends and not burrow into a hole of isolation. Between work being busy, wedding planning, trying to still make time to spend with my fiance, reading, listening to all my podcasts, writing and editing YouTube episodes, the weekend can sometimes seem like a great opportunity to go heads down into my to-dos. While this is a good use of time, carving out even a couple hours to grab coffee with a friend always helps change the channel in my head. I've talked in other episodes how in my 20s I used to put all my eggs into one basket, but no basket is strong enough to hold everything. For instance, if my whole identity is work and layoffs happen, which nowadays is more of a sure thing than an anomaly, my identity is ripped from me. Same with having your only friendship be your significant other. That's too much pressure for them to fulfill you fully. We're multifaceted and social creatures, and we need other people in our lives. My fiance and I met in November of 2019, right before the pandemic. During that year or so of lockdown, him and I really only hung out with each other because that's all you kind of could do. I'm forever grateful that we did have that time, because we'll never get that back, where we were both working from home full time, only saw each other on the weekends, ate every meal together, worked out together, lived in a studio apartment together with our little dog. The list goes on. But coming out of that burrowed in time felt pretty tough. We needed to see our friends and reignite those independent relationships. It wasn't sustainable being each other's literal everything. Whenever I feel like, I'll cancel those dinner plans and just hang out with him. I mean, we live together. It's an easy default. I remind myself of those growing pains and how fulfilled I always feel after a girls' dinner. I'm not someone that has 20 friends. I have a handful of super close friends, but those friendships take not only time to build, but also to maintain. Research shows that even a small circle of close relationships can create a social cushion. Connecting with friends offers emotional support and counters those isolating and apathetic feelings that often come with burnout for me. I've also used the power of the internet to find people going through similar struggles as I am. Starting this channel, I've discovered so many creators dealing with similar things, working a 9 to 5 while being engaged, making time to work out, navigating content creation, owning a reactive rescue pup in New York City. The list goes on. I guarantee you that whatever you're feeling, you're not alone. Maybe you are in your circle of friends. I know sometimes I feel that way, but in the age of social media, you can find people that are right there with you. And there's something beautiful and comforting about that. Especially with my On Our Way account over my personal account, I've been very purposeful about the accounts that I follow. In being deliberate, I've curated a zone of positivity, women supporting each other, other girls in their 20s and 30s just bopping through life, as well as some cute dogs thrown in for good measure. I've also been interacting with accounts more. Like if I see a 26-year-old girl in finance in New York City with an amazing outfit, I'm going to comment, fire fit, with a lot of emojis, of course. Put out into the world the energy that you want to receive. Building people up gives you the permission to also build yourself up. You're practicing not being critical of others by expressing gratitude and appreciation, which in turn you can point back at yourself. Whenever I see someone write something negative, I'm just like, they must be in such a low place that they want other people right there with them. Speaking of negative Nancys, I'd recommend only following accounts that bring you joy. If seeing your frenemy from middle school on Insta every day posting about her run doesn't bring you joy, unfollow, like right now. To be honest, I did it and felt great. The amount of people's experiences that we have at our fingertips in this day and age is insane. I've been trying to use it to find the right podcasters, content creators, YouTubers, and just friends in general that inspire, uplift, and encourage me. Building that purposeful community has helped me in feeling supportive and tackling that burnout. I wouldn't say I'm on the other side of my burnout, but acknowledging it, the hardest part for sure. Getting back to my why, staying active, restructuring my routine, and staying connected with friends has helped me to be grateful again for the life that I worked so hard to build. This episode took a lot of self-dissection out of me. I hope in watching it, you can at least be reminded that you're not alone. I'd love to hear your experience with burnout in the comments. What warning signs have you noticed? What strategies have helped you? Let's create a conversation that normalizes talking about being burnt out, even on things we love. If you haven't already, please give this video a like. And if you'd like to see more content about navigating careers and life through the lens of women still on our way through it, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, please be kind to yourself as we all continue on our way.